earlier in her career, a great story.
She is like the Lindsey Vonn of diving. She has been through so many surgeries and so many things to get back here and to be in the final. She's not even doing as difficult a dives as she's capable of doing because of all those injuries and 4 surgeries.
2016 U.S. Olympian, was 13th on 3 meter in Rio.
She's just an amazing competitor. She grew up in a very competitive family of 5 girls, and she said from the minute she remembers, she wanted to win everything she was ever in.
In 2015 and 2017, took an Olympic red shirt in 2016. 58.05 for her first. Jessica Parado of Indiana was 13th on 1 meter as a freshman, 10th on 1 meter, and now here 3 meters, 7th and 14th for 2 finishes.
And of course, if you know diving, you'll remember Jessica Parado was on the Olympic team in Rio on the platform, on the high platform. So for her to be in the final on springboard says a whole lot about the work that she's done at Indiana with Drew Johansson, her coach there, and her springboard diving so much improved.
60.75. We'll figure
There's
to see
Drew.
her on platform on the final day, first and second, the last 2 times she's done it. Julia Vincent of South Carolina. From Johannesburg, South Africa.
Julia's an Olympian also, diving for South Africa in the Olympic Games, and a senior at South Carolina, has scored so many points over the years in springboard diving for South Carolina. She starts off with a big dive, 3.0 degree of difficulty. You know that there's a lot of potential to pick up points.
6.5, 6, a 7, couple of 7s in there, so her dive score 60. We have 7 judges. The top 2 and bottom 2 scores are thrown out. The other 3 added together and multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Here's Pei Lin of Miami University of Ohio. Second in this event each of the last 3 years.
Amazing that she has continued to be the runner-up 3 times. Would love nothing more than to do something a little bit better, which means she would be the winner. An inward 2.5. Look at this flexibility. Folds herself right in 2, and you don't get a whole lot more vertical than that going in the water.
67.5 for Pei Lin. That's the top dive so far. Going in order, reverse order of the top qualifiers from this morning. Murphy Bromberg of Texas, also coming back from injury.
Yes, and once again known more as a platform diver up to now in her diving career, a junior at the University of Texas, and having had surgeries but made the world team previously, and what a springboard diver she's turning out to be.
Her score is 7.5 and 8. The degree of difficulty, the lowest so far, 2.4, so her score 55.2. Sheree Zing of Nevada had won the 3-meter competition 2 years ago in Atlanta, and last year in Indianapolis finished 7th.
You know, she just doesn't miss a lot of entries. She's not the highest jumper necessarily, but she is so steady and she knows where vertical is. That's an incredible talent, to find vertical on dives that you might have made a little mistake taking off or in the air, but that's the last thing that the judges see, that entry into the water, and she finds vertical almost 100% of the time.
Carter to 64.5, and now Sarah Bacon, who yesterday won the 1-meter competition, was 6th on 3-meter last year.
And you've heard that expression, grace under pressure. Well, she's the epitome of that in a lot of ways, especially watching her win the 1-meter. She did beautiful beautiful, graceful, elegant dives like this forward 2.5. Doesn't carry a huge degree of difficulty, but it is gorgeous, so high and so pleasing to look at.
57.6 for Bacon. Very consistent. And here's the top qualifier from earlier today, Brooke Schultz, freshman from Arkansas.
And there is the power-packed 5'1" almost, Brooke Schultz. And she is so dynamic, so quick. She's learning how to harness her power.
She gets a 64.4 with scores ranging from 7 to 8. And so through one round, the leader is Pei Lin of Miami University of Ohio, who's been the runner-up each of the last 3 years in this event. Here's Cassidy Cook, guarded to 58.05 in her first dive. Diving at NCAAs for the third time.
Cassidy Cook doing a very beautiful hurdle to the end of the board. That jump to the end of the board, lovely.
Cook was in 6th after one round. It's Lin, then Zing, then Schultz. Sarah Bacon, the 1 meter champion, in 7th after one round. 55.2 for Cassidy Cook. Jessica Parado, platform champion in 2015, second on platform last year.
So she's won an NCAA title in the past. You know, there's nothing better than the NCAAs. It's so much fun to watch these women. That's one of my biggest regrets is never getting to dive in an NCAA competition, because to me, it's the best of everything. And she has a great Indiana team to be with.
That she does. 51.6. And now Julia Vincent had a 60 in her first dive. Junior for South Carolina, for South Africa in the Rio Games.
Oh, she was really off to the left side of the board. And that is something that the divers face not just every now and then. That happens all the time. Look at how she's on to our right, actually, when she lands on the end of the board, right there. And that diving board is aluminum and will catapult you in the direction that you land on whichever corner if you do.
7s and 7.5s. Dive score of 63. Pei Lin of Miami University of Ohio, Mid-American Conference Diver of the Year all 4 years.
And a pretty diver, really pretty, steady as she goes. This dive, an easy dive in this contest at 2.4 degree of difficulty. Remember, the middle 3 scores are added, and then that is multiplied times that 2.4 degree of difficulty.
Her 4 remaining dives all have a degree of difficulty, or a DD, of 3 or higher. Murphy Bromberg of Texas. She is from Bexley, Ohio. Bexley High School, just a few miles southeast of here. Diving in front of friends and family here in Columbus.
Oh yes, this was her home pool for many years. Although she goes to the University of Texas, a junior there, and she is a national champion on the platform. So she's really making a name for herself now on the springboard.
So Bromberg has some of the crowd behind her, having redshirted 2016 and 2017 because of injury. Hometown diver. And now Sheree Zing of University of Nevada. 64.5 in her first dive. That had her in second.
So incredible. The power in her hurdle. She doesn't always have the highest jumps, but look how powerful she is. Way up in the air and perfectly straight on the end of the board. That is control, but the entry is flawless. Should be 9s.
Judges agree with you, and that is the highest scoring dive so far in the competition. Sarah Bacon of Minnesota, the 1 meter champion, was in 7th after one dive. 3 meter semifinalist at the 2016 Olympic trials.
Sarah has a lot of length to her. As you can see, standing on the board, she is all legs to a certain extent. And she uses her balance, her rhythm, and timing so nicely. She is very patient, and her coach, Winbo Chen, told me she needs to learn how to trust what she does. And there's Winbo right there. He's a very good technician.
Had a champion with Yu Zhao on 3 meter, 2015 and 2017. Minnesota. Brooke Schultz of Arkansas, 3rd after her first dive.
And her dad said this might be her best dive, although she did so many terrific dives in the preliminaries. It's hard to pick at this point. But her father coaches her father Dale Schultz, and it is a dynamic that works beautifully. A very gymnastic dive. She's powerful, she's dynamic, she's good.
Indeed she is. Just a freshman, 67.5. 131.9 has her in 2nd place, trailing Sheree Zing. More to come from Columbus. We're back here in Columbus, and now Cassidy Cook of Stanford for her 3rd of 6 dives. And people might be unfamiliar with diving scoring and how it works. Cassidy Cook in 7th place right now. Again, there are 7 judges. The top 2 and bottom 2 scores are thrown out. All 6 dives are added together. Unlike, say, halfpipe at the Olympics, none are thrown out. Every dive counts.
Well, this is the way diving has worked for a long time. And one of the reasons that you have 7 judges is so that you get the average. You get those middle 3 scores because everybody sees things a little bit differently. So you're trying to get a conglomeration of scores that are somewhat agreeable. And Cassidy Cook way up above the 5 meter platform. She is an amazing young woman, a senior. I can't say enough about her energy, her diving over the years, and her success.
Jessica Parado of Indiana.
Jessica has just really come on as a springboard diver, known to be a great platform diver, a national champion, an NCAA champion on the platform, but she has some great gymnastic moves and good balance on the springboard. What a pretty entry. Little bit of splash going in the water, but not much.
66 on that dive. And now Julia Vincent of South Carolina. 17th, 26th, and 18th in this event the last 3 years.
She's got amazing gymnastic ability. She is so gifted athletically. You know, she uses her power so efficiently. And that hurdle to the end of the board, it surprised me a while ago when I first saw it. It looked like maybe she was tripping or going to fall off the end, but that's what works for her. And you don't criticize what works. You try and enhance what a diver's gifts are and work with them.
Now Pei Lin of Miami of Ohio, redshirt senior from Shantou City, China.
What a nice hurdle to the end of the springboard. Those toes right on the tip of the springboard. Let's see if we can see right here where the toes are coming down. Couldn't quite see the springboard there, but we do see
I can take your word for
that
it.
amazing flexibility.
60.45. And now Murphy Bromberg of Texas. 13th on 3 meter in 2015 and had not dived in college since that year until this year.
No, she's had a lot of injuries that she did have surgery for and got these things worked out and is doing platform diving again. I was talking to Matt Scoggin, her coach, and he said she's worked really hard. And she has more talent that is being put to use on both apparatuses now than ever.
That's the highest scoring dive in this round, 67.2. With the 3 leaders to come, Sheree Zing, the leader through 2 dives. Got about a 9-point lead on Brooke Schultz. About a 14-point lead over Sarah Bacon.
Control, control, control. Oh my goodness. And this all with a 4.0 average and going to medical school, already been accepted at Nevada, wants to be a surgeon. Holy smokes, that was terrific.
She has the 2 highest scoring dives so far in the competition. Look at all those 9s. And now Sarah Bacon of Minnesota. By the way, Sarah Bacon has a brother named Kevin. Not the Kevin Bacon.
In that family, he's the Kevin Bacon. Oh, she misses that back 2.5 slightly, and that was one of the things that her coach said to me. This might be one of her most challenging dives. The back and the reverse 2.5s, which is the next dive to come, is the reverse one. But you see the dive being short of vertical and making a lot of splash, meaning that it was somewhat deficient.
3.5s to 4.5, and now Brooke Schultz in second place. But again, Sheree Zing, the leader, had a great third dive. Schultz was about 10 points back heading into this third of 6 dives.
Whoa, that's a nice 3.5. That should help tremendously. That is a really good dive. She is gaining momentum. Brooke Schultz, so gymnastic, quick. She's learning that refinement. She's got so much great diving. The only freshman in the competition.
63.55, and she is now 26.55 points behind Sheree Zing. Schultz in second place. Cassidy Cook, as we go back to the top of the order here, senior for Stanford. Final on both springboards in her final Pac-12 championship 3 weeks ago. Was third on 3-meter.
I mean, I've talked a lot about Cassidy because I've seen her dive for so many years, and she's just been the marathon woman, learning to deal with these injuries and these surgeries and still wanting to complete her senior year at Stanford, along with all of those great teammates swimming and diving. And there's her coach, Patrick Jeffrey. He's an Olympian. She's an Olympian. What kind of talent there is at Stanford is off the charts.
Off the charts. They have a big lead in this team competition. One diver here in the 3-meter final. Jessica Parado of Indiana now. Likely we'll see her in the platform final tomorrow.
Pretty darn good entry. That dive looked like it might go past vertical, wash over, but she seems to find a way to get through the water without making a whole lot of splash right here. She looks like this is going to go this way, but it really doesn't. She is good. Magician.
Julia Vincent of South Carolina in 4th place through 3 dives.
Everybody has to do some type of twisting dive, and Julia picks a reverse 1.5 with 2.5 twists. It's hard a lot of times to keep your feet together in these twisters, but she does it. Good for her.
53.65. Total to 41 and change. 5.5 to 7. Pei Lin, again the runner-up each of the last 3 years.
isn't one of her best dives, but it's still going to keep her in the ball game. Palin was in fifth place in the last round. So she's got 2 more dives to go after this one. You see the beautiful toe point, but that dive, she's struggling not to flop over on that dive.
It's going to take a momentous effort for her to catch up to the leaders. Murphy Bromberg now. From Bexley High School, Bexley, Ohio. It's a suburb of Columbus, just a few miles southeast of here.
And that is a miss for Murphy Bromberg, unfortunately, in the 4th round. She was in 3rd place. We'll just have to see what happens, because with 2 dives to go, you never give up. You never give up even when there's 1 dive to go. And what she does on this dive is get what we call stuck. She doesn't come anywhere near putting her feet at vertical to go in the water. And that's because of what she did on the takeoff. The takeoff was too slow getting into that pike position.
Sheree Zing of Nevada, 2 years ago, the NCAA Diver of the Year when she won both springboards. Last year, 6th on 1 meter, 7th on 3 meter.
Well, that is a heck of a forward 3.5 somersault. And she was winning by over 25 points, and she's going to keep the lead. Now remember, she's won more than a couple NCAA titles. That is amazing. And like I said, going to medical school, keeps a 4.0 degree average in school.
Ho-hum.
Look, she's a happy camper there.
Sarah Bacon of Minnesota won the 1 meter competition earlier in the meet. 6th on 3 meter last year.
Comes back with a good takeoff, but missing these entries just slightly. Her coach said, I want her to learn how to trust herself in diving. And she certainly seemed to do that on the 1 meter. Kept her composure beautifully, won the 1 meter competition here, and is jumping to the moon here, going way up, a little out of control.
Going to be in 8th place after missing on her 3rd round dive. Better here in her 4th round. Brooke Schultz of Arkansas, a freshman. Father Dale, her head coach there for the Razorbacks, in 2nd, heading into her 4th of 6 dives.
And I think she'll stay in 2nd place. And like I said, and you mentioned it too, the only freshman in this final. It is so tough to go into a year of NCAA competition, get through all the dual meets, and not have really wasted a lot of your energy and power, and be able to come to the very end of the season and have the kind of energy that you want. There's Dale walking away. Said his problem is he doesn't want to overcoach her.
Schultz trails it by 27 points in 2nd place to Sheree Zing of Nevada. 2 dives to go here in the 3 meter competition in Columbus, Ohio. Last year on both springboards without winning. She is in the lead, and then Brooke Schultz, Rich Burke along with Cynthia Potter. Can Schultz catch Zing? What's it going to take here for anybody to catch her? Unless she misses a dive.
That's what I was going to say. If she doesn't open the door, I think that it's going to be very, very difficult, because the degrees of difficulty do not vary.
Cassidy Cook of Stanford in 6th place, heading into her next to last dive.
And Cassidy Cook, the senior, not sure if this is her last individual meet on springboard ever or not. She says she might stick around and do synchronized diving for the next Olympics. She is not sure.
Just missed the 2012 Olympic team by .42 points, but did make the Rio Games, was 13th on 3 meter. Jessica Parado of Indiana. 1st and 2nd on platform the last couple of years, but here on springboard, 7th and 14th on 3 meter. 2015 and 2017. She took an Olympic red shirt in 2016.
Oh, she is so quick. And that dive just gets right away from her, went right over, almost on her belly. So she misses this dive in the second to last round, but it has great potential. Look at this quickness, boom! Gets into that pike position and almost can't get out of it. This quickness right there was just unbelievable. But you see what happens on the entry. The dive has so many variables to it. There's Drew Johansson. He never gets rattled.
Nice to have a coach calm like that. I would have enjoyed playing baseball for a coach like that. Never got one at any level. Julia Vincent of South Carolina. Those guys were great. In third with 2 dives to go. Julia Vincent of South Carolina. Cook, Parado, and Vincent. All Olympians. Parado for the U.S., Vincent for South Africa.
Vincent, a very pretty diver. I talked about her gifts athletically, and she also has the elegance that I talked about with Sarah Bacon. I love watching Julia Vincent dive. She uses her timing and rhythm so beautifully to ride the springboard up in the air. You have to work with the springboard.
Guards a 63. Now Pei Lin in 5th place. Again, the runner-up each of the last 3 years. Her best score came in 2015, 409.7. She's in 5th place with 2 dives to go.
And this was her best dive last year, a reverse 2.5. It's not going to be her best dive this year. I talked about the so many variables in the dive. Well, that takeoff right here, look where her feet land, not on the end of the springboard, and then she does what we call bellying out, letting go in her midsection a little bit as she takes off, leading with there, that arch there, leading with that. But she feels she has to because she's not on the end of the springboard. So many things to consider and to be in balance, timing, and rhythm for.
Up next, Murphy Bromberg of Texas, the Columbus native, had been in 3rd after 3 dives, but then missed her 4th, now in 7th.
Goes over a little bit on a reverse 2.5. That dive will turn into a pike with a higher degree of difficulty dive soon. She's already been doing it. Matt Scoggin told me she wasn't quite ready to do it in a meet like this yet, but she is very capable. What a beautiful jump. It is a really nice dive. It's just not quite vertical on the end with that control that you want to see going in the water.
Sheree Zing of Nevada has this title in her grasp if she can hit her final 2 dives here. 3.0 degree of difficulty.
A little mistake, slight, not a big one. The door is only cracked there. It doesn't open very wide. And I'm going to show you where, right here, that arch. It's a bit of a mistake. She won't receive those high scores. We saw her get 9s and 9.5s in round 3. Still a proficient dive.
Up next is Sarah Bacon, the 1-meter champion. Bacon struggled with her 3rd dive, in 8th place right now with 2 dives remaining. To follow her with her back to us now, the top challenger to Sheree Zing, Brooke Schultz. She'll be next.
And Sarah Bacon is struggling a bit, the sophomore from Minnesota, in this 3-meter competition. You know, sometimes that happens after you're successful the first day of the competition. It's kind of like trying to follow up a birdie on the golf course. Or maybe an eagle, I don't know.
Hard to. Well, you'd have to tell me about the eagles. I don't have many of those.
I don't have very many.
And now Brooke Schultz, who would seem to be the one to have a chance to catch Sheree Zing. Zing carded a 60 in her next to last dive. Schultz the top qualifier this morning. Trailed by about 27 points heading into this next to last round.
She could go ahead if she got 10s on this dive. Remember, the judges judge from 0 to 10 in half-point increments. She is keeping her cool beautifully, and her father told me, he's her coach, that not only does he not want to overcoach her, but she made the decision that she didn't want to do a forward takeoff. She wanted to do backward takeoffs for the last 2 rounds because she felt like she could be more relaxed, steady, and not have to worry about a front hurdle, the takeoff.
Gains a little ground. She is within 20 points now of Sheree Zing, but there is only 1 round to go. So Zing leads, and then Schultz, then Julia Vincent. 1 round left for Zing to get another NCAA title. Final round, and Cassidy Cook of Stanford will start off this round. She's in 4th place right now. Cynthia, haven't moved up.
Yeah, she went from 7th to 6th in round 4. Now 4th after the second to last round. You have to celebrate seniors like Cassidy Cook, who have given their all for so many years. And there's 4 seniors in this competition: Julia Vincent, Pei Lin, and Sheree Zhang. And they give everything to their institutions, their coach, their teams. She is a marvelous young woman with a personality that is off the charts, positive, beautiful, and her diving has been reflective of that positiveness for so long. This is one of her best dives, and it is a very well-performed, controlled dive. It's not her highest scoring dive ever, but she has come back after so many surgeries to be successful and maybe be in the top 5 in her last NCAA.
And a hug for Patrick Jeffrey, and that is her highest scoring dive of this competition. Now Jessica Parado, fellow Olympian like Cassidy Cook. Parado was 10th on platform in Rio and 7th on synchro platform. Her dad, Mike, a swim coach who worked with Jenny Thompson as a youth in New Hampshire.
Nice last round dive. A little bit lower degree of difficulty, but for Jessica Parado to be doing as well as she's doing on springboard and to be healthy, it's so hard to dive all of these apparatuses because most people specialize these days that you see in the Olympic Games or the World Championships. Drew Johansson, great Olympic coach.
She had been 7th heading into that last dive. Now Julia Vincent in 3rd heading into her last dive, the senior from Johannesburg, South Africa, diving for the Gamecocks.
Again, congratulations to Julia Vincent, having scored in so many finals for so long in the SECs as well as the NCAAs. She's a springboard diver, and she is rock solid. She knows how to jump to the moon, and she's got good control. Todd Sheridan and her have worked together for 4 years, and she ends up with 6 and 6.5 on her last round dive. Not the best one she's ever done, but steady.
And now Pei Lin, the runner-up each of the last 3 years, and she was the leader after 1 round. She's in 5th right now. She did struggle in her 5th round dive. Prior to that, she had been 5th or 6th. Hadn't really struggled with any of those, just nothing flashy.
She did not have one of her best competitions. She was leading from round 1 and then fell back to 6th place, and she was in 5th before this dive. And as you see, leaning out just slightly in the middle of the pool. So she loses a little bit of height when that happens. If you go out too far, you don't go up as high.
Final dive coming up for the Columbus native Murphy Bromberg in 6th place, heading into her last dive.
This may be just a warm-up for Murphy Bromberg. This her best event, like Jessica Parado, could be the 10-meter platform coming up later in this NCAAs. But she is back on track after going through surgeries and rehab, I really like her springboard diving, but I like her gymnastic ability all the way around.
Hug from Matt Scoggin. Here's the leader, Sheree Zing. Almost every diver has missed on a dive here, but not her. She had a 76.5 in her second dive and 81, the highest scoring dive in the competition, with her third dive. She leads by just under 20 points heading into her final dive.
Huge success for Sheree Zing. This is not the best entry. This entry splashed, which is really odd for Sheree Zing. She usually goes in without a teacup full splash. But this dive is still pretty vertical going in the water, a little slide past vertical. Brooke Schultz could possibly pass her.
At just a 47.85 for Sheree Zing. Great to see these competitors supporting each other. Now Sarah Bacon, 1 meter champ earlier in the meet, in 8th place here in the final on 3 meter, heading into her last dive.
Whoa, that was terrific. And Wimbo said, her coach Wimbo Chen, in his 9th year at Minnesota said, this is probably her best dive. And the reason is because she sees the water from this beautiful takeoff. She'll see the water and line up for it right there to go in vertically. You line up a little shy of vertical because you have that momentum that carries you to vertical as you go through the water.
The leader, Sheree Zing of Nevada. 1 dive to go. The only person who can catch her is Brooke Schultz of Arkansas.
Don't tell Brooke Schultz this, but she needs 7.5 to win this competition. She's a freshman. 7.5.
Ooh.
It's possible.
Close.
It is possible. She might just have won her first NCAA title. She and Sheree Zing battling it out.
She cards a 72.
She does it. She does it.
399.45. And Brooke Schultz, daughter of her head coach Dale Schultz, is an NCAA champion.
And he is more than over the top. The moon, the stars, and the sky for Dale Schultz.
How about that? She was a high school champ in Arkansas, Indiana, and Florida while her dad moved around to different jobs. And now she's an NCAA champion.
Said she didn't like to go off forwards in her last 2 rounds because she felt like she could keep her composure better. She does exactly what is needed in the last round to win the competition.
What a remarkable comeback, heading into the last 2 dives against a very good diver, Sheree Zing. She trailed it by just under 28 points, then just under 19. The door was open, and she wins it. Brooke Schultz, we'll talk with her when we come back. Columbus, what a moment for the Schultz family. Dad Dale, the head coach, daughter Brooke, now an NCAA champion for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they're downstairs with Danielle.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. We're with diver and dad, who has tears in his eyes watching his little girl become an NCAA champion.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What does this mean to you to see your daughter compete so well under so much pressure?
She's worked really hard, and you know we battled the father-daughter thing, and so it's been fun.
So Sheree left the door open, and you nailed that last dive. Did you know you needed 7.5s on that final round?
I did, and it's something we practice all the time in practice. Every day he's like, you need however many points to win, and you know it was the same situation. I just had to stay calm and do my dive like I've been practicing.
And as a freshman, what's the pressure like going up up against such a tremendous field?
Oh, it's been amazing. I've seen these girls do so well all season long, and I just knew that it was going to be a tough meet, and I just had to stay composed through the entire thing.
Dad, how do you celebrate this one as a family?
I don't know. We're just going to enjoy it, and it's been fun. It's been a long journey, but it's been fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is something else. And Cynthia, when listening to Dale Schultz try to talk about that at the beginning, I had tears in my eyes.
Well, you can't help it because he says, I don't want to overcoach my daughter, and I try and treat her the same way I treat every other diver, but she's his flesh and blood. It seems like quite a task.
Oh, wow. Brooke Schultz, an NCAA champion here in her freshman year. Great credentials. She had taken the silver on 3-meter at the World University Games last summer, took 25th on 3-meter in Budapest at the World Championships, and now she is an NCAA champion on 3.